into my next question, which is about local cooperation. So within Whatcom County, how do the banks and credit unions that are here cooperate with each other? I mean, that's just a question that I have. Is there some kind of club that everyone goes to?
No secret handshake.
Yeah. No club, except to defend ourselves from the banks. No, we're, again, speaking from the credit union side, sorry. From the credit union side, we never really need a club. We kind of hang out together anyway. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. There's so much of the stuff that, again, we share ideas, we share resources, we share all kinds of things, just because it's the nature of the industry we're in. I was in the industry for a number of years, and went back into the for-profit sector, back into the software industry again. And I found that was one of the things I didn't really recognize that much when I got out of it, until I got out of it, was how much I missed that collaboration, that camaraderie between competitors, I guess. But it would, I don't know. There's not really a. Some areas do have there. We have a credit union association that is kind of a. It's our trade group, and you do have chapters of that. But for the most part, from my experience, and we collaborate with each other because it's beneficial for our members, because we like to do it. So.
I have to agree. We just finished negotiating with 12 other credit unions with one of the larger ATM manufacturers, because there's regulations that are going into place next year that have certain requirements for the ATMs about not only security, but helping those that are physically and physically challenged about getting access to the ATM. And so what we did was we went together with 12 other credit unions to gather our buying power and are getting a much better deal on these ATM machines in an effort to keep the costs down so that we can keep our loan rates down, keep our savings rates up as high as we possibly can. And that's how we work together. And this is a statewide. So it's not just Terry and I meeting for lunch saying, how are you doing in this area? Or, have you seen any challenges out there that we need to work together on? It's a cooperative effort within the state and within the nation.
I have two quick experiences I'll share about this. Bellingham is a small community, and the bankers in Bellingham are even a smaller community. And at Business Bank, we've only been around for 5 years, so all of us employees have worked at other banks. The first situation I'll share real quick about how we all work together is I got to meet a gentleman named Jason through my work with United Way, and he is the security officer at WECU. My branch was robbed last December, and before the police were even there, I had an email in my inbox from Jason saying, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do?" And that's just how we all work amongst each other and take care of one another. The other situation I'll share, without giving out too much confidential information, is one of my clients is a large payroll provider who helps 500 plus business customers process their payroll. Yesterday, being April 15th, being Friday, big payday, they had a glitch in their computer system, and none of their payroll recipients, including Business Bank, got paid. So he called me in a panic and said, "What can you do for me?" So I said, "Okay." And we gathered and we called all of the contacts that we had at the other banks and said, "Here's the customers at your bank who should have gotten a payroll today who didn't. Can you please keep that into account and know that this is coming," and that kind of a thing. So we were able to help him get all of those people paid before Monday, so they have money for the weekend. But the interesting part of all of that is those of us at Business Bank and through some of my contacts, through my past banking experience, not one of us could come up with a contact at Bank of America. So I thought that was really interesting.
Just not networked in that direction. One more question for you before I turn it over to the audience. So when I think about Transition Whatcom and some of the projects that we're going to be trying to do in anticipation of peak oil and climate change. Some of these projects that I think of are maybe sort of under the radar as far as the person who wants to start this doesn't have a credit score, or if this project is somewhat underground. I'm maybe not explaining this well, but some of the projects that we're going to be working on maybe don't look like perfect loan candidates for maybe a micro enterprise or a small business. In what ways do you think that projects like that might be integrated into your lending portfolio, if at all? Does that make sense?
Try new strategies.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on the lending team, so I don't know that I'm the best one there. What I can tell you is on the consumer lending side, there are fair credit lending laws where you have to treat people very, very similarly, and that's where the credit scoring and everything comes into play. Business lending is not that way. There are a lot of ways that you can mitigate a decision, and so I would encourage those people to speak with their business lenders because it is a completely different entity than consumer lending, and there's a lot of flexibility.
One thing before I go any farther, I do want to say that although Terry and I are from the credit union, there is a strong bond between all the local financial institutions, and there truly is a place for community banks and credit unions working together to make our communities better. As far as what kind of things, how can we think outside of the box? One of the reasons why we went and started developing this Community Development Credit Union certification was because of the advantages that we had for, one, the cap on member business loans. But it also provided us with an opportunity to apply for grants. Right now, Industrial Credit Union has a grant application in for $1.7 million into a community development foundation where we are looking to get these funds, bring it back into the community, and take some of those funds to get the software and all those type of things that we need, but also to provide us with the opportunity to make those loans to those kind of enterprises at a lower rate and still have what the regulators require us to have backing up those loans so that the losses from those loans, because there is risk with any kind of loan that you make, there is inherent risk. But in order to mitigate that risk, getting some of that grant funding to have so that my members don't have to pay for that risk. So that's one of the opportunities that we're looking at.
Excuse me. I think one of the critical pieces is, Debbie and I were talking a little earlier about our familiarity with larger banks and how the decision-making responsibility rests somewhere thousands of miles away. Certainly, that's the beauty of local institutions is, again, we do make our own decisions. One of the philosophies that we have in terms of doing all types of lending is that we lend to people, not to collateral. We make loan decisions based on that face-to-face contact with people. What is it they need? Is it, and oftentimes, is it in their best interest to do this? But it does, having that kind of being able to make those kind of face-to-face conversations and those kinds of decisions gives us the flexibility to, not all, there's lots and lots of ideas. Some of them may not be so good, some of them are brilliant. You still have to make those decisions because you still have to make it alone. But we do have the latitude to make those kinds of judgments that I think a lot of the Wall Street banks simply don't have.